Thank you all for joining us. Um, Thank you for taking the time out of your day to spend with Sid, Ken, and I. We really appreciate it, and I'm confident that you will get some valuable nuggets out of today's presentation and what we have to share. My name is Ken Klopp, and I'm going to go through some housekeeping things, turn it over to Ken Lane. Um, and then we'll get into the webinar. So, a couple housekeeping things. One, this is being recorded, so we'll be able to send this out later on. The main presentation is actually pre-recorded, and we did that to make sure we didn't have or we had less glitches, I'll say, but also to make sure that we stayed within our time frame of an hour and a half total. So the pre-recorded is an hour, and then once that is over, we will open it up for live questions. Now, at any time during this presentation, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll have a Q&A button that you can push. That's where you can enter your question. That gets submitted to the panel, which would be the three of us. If you would prefer to stay anonymous, there's a button in there that you can just tap on that, and then your name will not come up with the question. Um, with that, Ken, do you have any opening remarks?
Well, I'm just glad everyone is here. I just see the numbers keep bumping up. You folks that are last second, well played. So it's hard to keep up with trying to get everyone in there. I'll check it one last time to make sure no extra names came in at the last moment. This is a high level conversation. So this is not garden centers. This is how garden centers collect and gain energy or power or influence by banding together. I'm not talking about a buying group or some of these other things. We're talking about banking numbers, NASDAQ kind of stuff. This is Site Ones. This is Moon Valleys. This is, you can name them that are going down. So I hang out with friends that do this with car washes. I hang out with friends that do this with feed stores and marketing companies. And there's something there for garden centers. And so we got together at TPIE in Florida last January and started brainstorming. How could we help bring the industry together? And we've come up with Garden Outfitters. And that's what this is. This is a kind of a fleece or a test launch. Let's see if let's see if there's something out there. Three of us got together and put this together, and we thought, oh, we'll have a dozen people, and it has blown that out of the water. There's more conversation around this. If this is new to you, ask good questions. Call me later, email, check, follow back. We'll have more resources. I fully intend once a month having high level investment banker. What is this thing that's happening in our industry once a month and going deep dive? I've got Gary Crum, an interview with this section. We've got Sid, a section of this. And then, so I'm hoping that you'll get at least three things out of this before you leave or more. And then some question follow-up later. And then a Merry Christmas for everyone. So hopefully we'll be in and out of here by 11:30 is my goal. So Ken, with that, I'm glad everyone's here. Welcome to Garden Outfitters.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Ken. And with that, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go like that and go ahead and get this rolling.
Cool.
So I don't know what you're seeing, but at least once a week, at least.
I'm not hearing the video, Ken.
My garden center. So well, tell me about that. And I could not get away from that. Now they kept
You want to
coming
replay?
at me. It was
Start
annoying.
over?
So I've stopped.
Rookie mistake.
It's our first time, folks. So we're kind of you get to be the first victim. Test the beta.
Yeah. All right, here we go again. Sorry about that.
So I don't know what you're seeing, but at least once a week, at least I just had one yesterday. A business broker, private equity, family office. Someone is calling me, going, "Hey, I got a client. They're looking to buy a garden center." And I'm going, "Oh, really? Tell me about that." And so it's like constant. It's almost annoying. It's clogging up my email list, my phones. It's here. Be careful, because I did actually respond. I don't know, 3 4 months ago, and said, "Well, let's see what this is all about." Got a business broker. I got a client. He wants to buy a garden center. So, well, tell me about that. And I could not get away from that. They kept coming at me. It was annoying. So I've stopped doing that. I'm not going to, they had no experience. They were new to the industry. They just thought it might be interesting. And private equity, they don't know what to do with independent garden center. First of all, we're too independent. And so, but the other areas have already been consolidated. The growers, the warehouses, the plumbers, the pavers, they've all been consolidated. So now they're down to our level, wading through, just going, I wonder if there's something here. So they're searching out an opportunity, is what's happening. And so I don't know how they find. I mean, I'm in Arizona, nowhere Arizona, not Phoenix. I'm way up by the Grand Canyon, Sedona, that area up in the mountains. And so I don't even know how they found me, other than we do have in the Southwest, we're on people's radars. So maybe they found me that way. But I mean, I'm not that big on one location, $3 million. I mean, just one location, it's just not that big. But we do make money, and we make the lists, and we're recognized. Maybe that's where they got it from. Oh, be careful of your time. First of all, don't ever sell your business to someone that doesn't have experience, because they'll run it in the ground, whether it's an employee. All employees, they won't put any skin in the game, but they say they can run it. Big talk, and run it in the ground. I've heard that story way more than once. And private equity, the same way. Don't let them come in and think they can run this thing for you. You need to be in control. You need someone that can come alongside and knows garden center, the industry, so they make a difference. They uplift your business in your community, because you're gonna have to live with that decision after you've sold or taken a piece or got some of your equity out or whatever that is. You're gonna have to live with that decision when you go to your church, to your restaurant, to your Rotary Club, to your kids' soccer game, and hear about how it was either uplifted, oh, you got to be so proud, or destroyed, oh, you got to be so disappointed. You don't want to live in that community, because you're probably not going anywhere. You'll buy the country club house, but you still got to live there and hear all that. So you should be proud. Make sure that person knows what they are doing before you start talking to them. That's private equity. That's been my experience. So first, let me just share a little bit about myself, where I came from, why I'm part of the industry, how I came back to the industry. So Harold Waters started Waters Garden Center back in early 60s. It's been over 60 years. And he had 4 daughters. And back in those days, I'm almost embarrassed, but that generation wanted sons to run their garden centers. And so the girls went and did their own thing and became teachers and doctors and dental hygienists and all this stuff, very successful, but were never welcomed back into the garden center. Lisa and I were college sweethearts and at ASU. So I'm a business major. She's a special ed teacher. And so we came back and we were dating, and we did a corporate thing that went off, and I started missing my small town. We grew up here, Prescott, Arizona, back when it was really small. And so the corporate, if you're really good at corporate, and I'm pretty good at that stuff, always takes you to where a corporate office is. You're always moving. Every couple of years, you're moving. We're starting to have kids. And we're going, oh, we miss our small town. And so I came back home for one holiday, and Harold and I are chopping a cord of wood. This is how men do it, and negotiated this business buy over a cord of wood. Shook hands, went off, quit my job, came back, and came into the family business. That was early 90s. And so we were well into this experience. And I found out that when he said I could buy the business, it was after he was dead. And that was not going to fly with me. I'm going to call it and go, this is it. I can do fine on my own. I don't need this. And so it caused some tension between us. And so he finally had forced his hand and said, listen, I'm going back. I'm out of here. He was getting old enough where he's going, oh my gosh, I thought I had my exit set. I'm going, well, yeah, you did, only you didn't include me with it. And so I kind of was going to storm off. And so he came around. Really what happened, so in 2002, we bought the business. So this is several years later, and a major road construction is going to happen. It's a 5-year project. They ripped the entire road in front of us, a new one. Literally, tractors, the tires are bigger than your car, are rolling within 3 feet of the greenhouse. You could feel the earth rumble as we are selling petunias to your grandmother. That scared him. And he was old enough going, I don't think I have the energy to do this. But I said, I will. And so that kind of forced his hand, and just he didn't have any other back door. That was it. And so we came up with an agreement. He dumped like a ton of debt on us, which is wrong in so many ways. I don't want to do that to my daughter that's now positioning to take the garden center. That was horrific. 9.5% interest, 9 loans. You've got to be kidding me. That's stupid now that I look back on it. I should have just walked at that point, but really wanted to get back to my small town, like the influence of grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins for my family. It's worked out really well. So I'm glad I did it. But back in the day, not so much. In fact, he died 2 years ago. He fell and just kind of, we lost him. The whole town came out to his memorial. But I paid off the last loan basically the week after he died. It took us 20 years to pay off all these loans. Now we did okay. We banked some stuff. We were able to grow, but we were able to survive the road construction because we had to be really frugal and pay these notes, and we had interest only, and we worked it out. I'm a banker. So out of college, I went off and I set up credit bureaus for a living. I set up the Phoenix Credit Bureau, the Sacramento Credit Bureau, worked for Equifax as their marketing director. So we tracked how you paid your bills and then sold it back to the car dealer, back to the credit union, back to the banks on how you paid your bills. So I was really good at that. And so I'm coming back going, okay, we can bankroll this. We can do this. What I learned was humility. It was rough. That kind of road construction, I had to that's when we got good at radio shows and garden columns. But even then, they couldn't get to us. And so I learned to call in favors, to ask humbly, going, hey, customers, town, community, we're suffering. I don't know if we're going to make it. We need you to support us. Would you be willing to go through all those cones and come and support us? And they did. And so that's a lesson learned for me years and years ago. Right. The road construction was done at 2008. And then what happened at 2008? So we're going to rebuild this garden center. We got a brand new thoroughfare going through here. We could really make this thing go. So we had our permits, we had our greenhouse set, we had our lending done, and 2008 hits, and we just had to go at that point. So we went all in, rebuilt. The place looks spectacular. What it did was we had learned how to live so frugally that we just kept on doing that through 2008, 9, actually 10, 11, 12. The recession went a long time, longer than they say, for small business. Came out of it, and we just thrived through the 2000 teens till the pandemic. And then what happened with the pandemic? Even more so. And so that's kind of the background we come with. That's how we honed in our marketing. That's how we got so good with the financial piece. We know how to make money. No matter what the sales are, we can still drop money to the bottom line. That's kind of my background. That's my passion. I love small business, and I think we can do that better ourselves in the industry. So I've had several folks ask me, why, Ken? Why Garden Outfitters? And so we had a group of us meet at TPIE in Florida back in January, this early this year, so a year ago. And we go, what can we do to grow the industry, to help the industry? And what would the name be? And so we said Garden Center. Now, that's back in the day, garden centers were boutiques. We actually were special. And then the proliferation of every orange and blue box in Mart had a tack on or garden center, and they put the big name garden center, and it just lost its luster. So nursery didn't quite do it. We're little kids. What are we? So we went Garden Outfitters. It has a feel for like REI or Patagonia. We're the experts. We know how to take you up the glacier of garden centers and make sure you don't fall. And we are the experts, Garden Outfitters. And so it's a unique name. It's not being footballed out there in the community. And I think we've got a strong foundation to stand on if we go forth with Garden Outfitters. So Waters Garden Outfitters, or Garden Outfitters by Waters, or whatever, by Smith, or by whatever the garden center is. So trying to take that brand and go national with it, that could be a powerhouse. So let me share the dirty little secret about private equity. So this is New York City money. So now out of college, I sold credit reports for banking. So I set up the TransUnion and Equifax credit bureaus. I'd take your data, I'd create a database, I'd sell it back to the bank, the credit union, the car dealer before you got a loan. And so I'm very deep in the banker world. I know how they talk and I know their language. I can keep up at any party with the highest levels of money. And private equity is not that different from banking. They're really similar. There's so much money sloshing around the marketplace right now. They're trying to place this money, and one way to do it is to buy companies. And so you're hearing some big names of like BlackRock and some these big private equity groups. Well, there's smaller ones too, and they're trying to consolidate different industries. They don't make money off the one, but when they get several together, they package them and they spin them off and they sell them out to other bigger private equity players. That's their game. And so they'll come in and they'll pay. There's so many of them running around trying to buy companies that they'll come in and offer you a premium. Let's say you're getting offered, a 3, 5, 6 times multiple. They'll go, I'll give you 8 times. I'll give you $8 million for this. And what they're trying to do is just lock it up. It's a defense to keep the other players out. They know they've got you locked up for 120 days while they do their due diligence. They'll give you a letter of intent. They'll go, every intent of $8 million. And then the due diligence starts and they start to nickel and dime. So they'll offer that and they settle for this. It's purely a defense. So they've got you. So my advice is, first of all, be careful who you're talking to. And if you do your background, do your due diligence, do a background. Are they in the industry? Do they have other garden centers? What's the success rate with those garden centers? How long did it take? What multiple did they actually settle on? Do your homework too, and then call the one that just sold. Call them up. I'm sure another business owner will go, yeah, it's the best thing I've ever done. Or, oh, I'm so sorry I did that. Do your due diligence. Don't assume they're just, that's how they work. Just trust me, that's how they work. And so New York City money is that way. I would say if they don't have industry experience in your field, they're going to piece your garden center together, and within 3 to 5 years, it'll be trashed in all the markets. And that's where private equity gets a bad name, because that's what they do. If you're trying to go to private equity, get a group you could belong to, that you're part of, that's part of the industry, that you're making a difference in building up your influence in your marketplace. That's the real insider tip I wanted to share with you on private equity.
Hi, I'm Sid Raish. Every garden center has a future. Let me grab you for just 2 minutes. If you own a garden center and things are going fine, this message is still for you, because every garden center has a future. The only question is whether the future is intentional or accidental. This is not a sales pitch. I'm not here to tell you you're doing it wrong. I'm here to tell you this. Most garden center owners work incredibly hard, carry enormous risk, and don't give themselves enough credit or enough options. And the industry doesn't make it easier. The hard truth is this: about 60% of businesses change hands because of death or incapacitation. These are not good transitions. They don't protect families, they don't protect employees, and they rarely protect the value of the business. Garden Outfitters exists to give owners a real path forward, one that strengthens the business now and protects it later. This isn't about selling out. It's about setting your business up to last. Now let me explain what that actually means. Garden Outfitters equips customers to succeed. Build confidence, not confusion. We grow people, not just plants. This works because trust beats transactions. Independents win on expertise. Box stores can't do this. The idea came from Waters Garden Center, Mountain Gardeners positioning, Outfitters versus random retail. This is for now because of rising costs, rising regulation, shrinking independent footprints. There are garden center deserts, lost access, lost expertise, lost community value. The uncomfortable stat is this: 60% are forced transactions. Distress destroys value. Buyers hesitate because of hard work, thin margins, perceived risk. Transformation, not fixing, requires preparation, consistency, transferability. The role of profit is intentional. It's funded, it's sustainable, and it's what buyers actually buy. They buy proven cash flow, turnkey operations, reduced friction. So why Garden Outfitters? It gives you options, continuity, legacy protection. How it works is by providing partial liquidity, shared upside, and a one-year transition. A Garden Outfitters company offers credibility and stability with long-term intent. How about some questions and answers? So question 1, my garden center is doing fine. Why should I change anything? Because fine doesn't transfer well. Doing fine today doesn't mean it's attractive, financeable, or resilient tomorrow. This is about strengthening what already works before you have to. Question 2, is this just about selling my business? No, it's about optionality. Owners who never plan to sell still benefit from consistency, profitability, and reduced chaos. Selling is just one possible outcome, should they need to. Won't this change my culture or brand, is the next question. This change will only happen if your culture is disorganized, underfunded, or dependent on you personally. Strong cultures survive transition. Weak ones don't. Next question. I don't want to work harder just to make someone else money. Good, you shouldn't. This is about making the business work better, not squeezing more out of you. Buyers reward clarity and systems, not exhaustion. So why would a buyer want my garden center? Because it produces reliable profit, retains customers, keeps good people, and doesn't rely on heroics. That's rare and valuable. What if I'm not ready to think about exiting? That's exactly when you should. Preparation takes time, but pressure removes choice. Garden Outfitters is about staying ahead of that curve. This isn't about giving something up. It's about finally giving your business and yourself the options you've earned.
And so I have a very good friend. We go back years. We're part of Convene together. This is a Christian CEO mastermind group. That's how I met Gary, one of the national conventions. But he's been my whispers in my ear, big thoughts often. So Gary comes in and just helps advise us. He's one of our strategic partners as Garden Outfitters, helps us kind of look at the right kind of garden center and do the metrics work and what does it mean? And helping us set up the entire Garden Outfitters idea. So Gary, I thought I wanted to interview him quickly on valuations, just what's going on in the marketplace. What does he see? Because he's in all kinds of businesses. So Gary, welcome to the presentation. So glad you're here, my friend.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for having me on this really cool podcast.
Yeah, this is great. So you are in the M&A and then consulting, helping folks get better up their game. That's your niche, and you've been doing that for many decades. You've got a whole team behind you. I just happened to get the founder coming on. Thank you for that. That's huge. We've dealt with all of their team over the course of this year. What are you seeing in the marketplace, and can you give us a feel for how many businesses are for sale? What are they going for? What's the price ranges? What are you looking at?
Yeah, it's an interesting field. you could look at it from a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different statistics. The bottom line is there are about 35 million businesses in the US, not counting the real small stuff. 35 million of those businesses. And there's only so many private equity people and so many buyers. And so what we find, statistically, is that only 1 in 9, 1 in 8, somewhere in that number of businesses will actually transact and exit. The numbers are really, really bad. It's 1 in 5 across the board, but because most larger businesses will actually transact, that means smaller businesses, and we're talking businesses that are up to $3-4 million in revenue, that they'll have a very, very hard time transacting for a reasonable value. That's because there's way, way, way too much competition given the amount of buyers. There's one buyer for every 10, 12 businesses that are for sale, and they're not going to find some mediocre. They're going to go for the best. So consequently, if you're a business trying to transact, to do an exit, to do a sale, you want to be in that top tier. You want to make it really, really high. It's like an example you gave me once about you put your house on the market, and then next thing you know, there's 8 other houses on your block that are for sale. Well, if your house isn't like one of the premier houses on that block, it may not sell, or it might take quite a while to get through all of that churn. So that creates a problem for smaller businesses, smaller garden centers. Even, most garden centers are fairly small. You want to be able to understand what it looks like to position well, to attract a buyer, to get a buyer excited about looking at your business and buying your business, and, be ahead of the competition. So that's the big problem that universally smaller businesses have. And I don't mean to be rude. They're smaller because they're usually define smaller businesses less than 10 million. Then, that's a pretty good sized business, but we're talking, fairly smaller businesses.
Is that EBITDA, Gary, or is that revenue, or what is that 10 million? How do they value a company? Is that free cash flow, or is that the revenue piece?
Well, so revenue is what I defined as 10 million or less, or smaller businesses. That's revenue. Okay. Most companies are valued by their amount of cash that they throw off. And for most businesses, EBITDA is pretty much equal to cash. But there's misnomers in that as well. When you look at the statistics, when you look at the garden centers that have sold, and you go back and you take their EBITDA, okay, with their asking price, they're coming out at anywhere between 3.5 and 4 of a multiple. In other words, you multiply their EBITDA by 3.5 or 4, somewhere in that range, and that becomes their enterprise value. Now, there's outliers. There's those that are less and those that are better. Maybe a 5x or a 5.5, or maybe even a 6 or something. And that's because they're quality companies. You go into the garden center and it looks good. It's clean. It's really pretty. The displays are phenomenal. They've got great signage. The people that work there are very, very friendly, and they have some unique kind of stuff that they do to make them very appealing, versus somebody who, sells plants and different things that just doesn't have that real cool, shiny sort of apple look. So when you look at a company, you come up with a base value, 3.5 to 4x. You then detract from that value the things that are messy, the things that aren't so good about that particular company. And then you add back in the things that are really cool. So the more negatives you have, the worse your valuation is going to be. And the better things that you've got, the higher your valuation is going to be. And there's another problem. It's not just the transacting numbers are low, but most small business owners think their business is worth a lot more than it really is, because I'm buying cash, right? And I'm buying cash over time. And so as an investor, I want to get a reasonable return on my investment. So unless you have a realistic value, a defensible value, we call it, that's going to create one strike in your inability to sell, because buyers will just take one look at you and say, way too expensive. And they'll go find somebody else that's more reasonable.
So I appreciate that. So we've gone through Agora's, Gary's company's systems. So his boot camps, his RQ scores, super interesting. You'll actually come in and interview folks, and you come up with a score. Here's where you are in the pack of field. Here's where you seem to land, and here's how you can increase that. Share with us real quick what are some things that companies can use to increase their value, and how can you help them? Just go ahead, just sell it, just go for it.
Well, let me give you a few things to think about. Growing revenue is critical.
Okay.
Okay. Buyers want to buy a company that's growing. They don't want a plateaued company or a company who's kind of shining off the top of the hill. They want a growing business. Profit margins are important, but profit margins are things that, like Garden Outfitters, can go work on. Right? You can improve those numbers. So a growing business is critical. The other thing is the quality of your management team. Because as an owner, if the owner does 90% of managing the business, as a buyer, I can't go in and buy you, right? Because you're going to go sit on the beach in Hawaii. So I want to be able to buy the business, which means I need management. And you want management who's excited about doing and working and growing together with other firms. And that's the value of doing the Garden Outfitters roll-up thing. So those two pieces are really good. Quality of books, the ability to be able to have good financial position. Debt is a tool, but you don't want to have too much debt. You want to have a good asset to liability mix. You want to have strong strength and being able to go out and do the things you do. Because as I've learned with your business, how garden centers are just really, really, they go up and they go down. And there's a longer period of time of limited revenue versus really, really strong revenue. So you have to be able to have the strength to get through those times. So Garden Outfitters coming in to buy a company is going to be able to help build up that particular business, but there are certain healthy characteristics. And so when we work with a client, even if we run them through what we call our M&A boot camp, we give them a lot of information to help them understand what they need to do, what levers they need to pull to raise the value of their business. And it takes time. It's not something that's going to happen over 6 months. It takes maybe a year or two to really be able to position your business.
Well, Gary, this has been super informative. I could keep going with this. I appreciate that insight from outside the industry, looking into garden centers. It looks like there's an opportunity for us to build something bigger, to increase value, that all boats rise. And then I'm looking forward to working with you even more in this project. Appreciate you. Gary Crum with Agora Consulting, a strategic partner with Garden Outfitters. Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome, Ken. Thanks.
So let me just share some things we've learned about marketing. I'm a marketing guy. I'm a good friend of mine. He owns one of the best hardware stores in the country, True Value Network. He goes, Ken, he's about 78, 80. Ken, you're the best peddler I think I've ever known. Wow. Good. So that is a huge compliment. Thank you very much. So we know how to peddle or to promote or to sell plants and things that make plants grow. That's our niche. If it's decoration, does it make a plant grow? Does it decorate? So outdoor living, fountain statue, yeah, we'll do that. But the Christmas decor and the spring candles, we've done all that. But as the plants took over, we didn't have enough space. So we just focused on plants, things that make plants grow. And so that's our niche. And the profits and the Gimroys come with that. Here's what we found. And so I think in today's marketing world, we do garden classes. We do a garden column, full-on column. The newspapers pick it up, all of them. Radio show, that's our outline for the radio show that week. And that's the podcast. That's our social media posts. So everything feeds off of that class. The column is supporting the class. So whoever teaches us got an outline. That's the outline for the radio show podcast. We've got a sequence, and it's all coordinated by week, 52 weeks. If you do that and you've got an online store, now you can embed some URLs or some short links to your store going, hey, here it is. And if, by the way, you're not part of our area, we can ship that directly to you. We've figured out how to do that. So we've doubled our online sales just for that technique, because now we've got more and more partnerships with farms, with supply chains and warehouses. A story is we have not sold bulbs, that spring flowering bulbs, in 20 years. They're ugly. You throw away more than you sell. It's a commodity. Everyone's got them. Every grocery store, every hardware store, every tool supply, every box store, they've all got bulbs. It's just totally a commodity. There's nothing special. A grade A bulb is this big or this big. There's no difference. And you got to be a hardcore gardener. I have to buy it, plant it in 3 months, be rewarded with a flower, maybe. That's not quite a good product for us. So we let that go 20 years ago. This year, with our new tech stack, we were able to, got a buddy that's got a warehouse full of bulbs. I sold their bulbs, direct shipped to my customers. And we had 125 extra customers this month, this last month, just with bulb sales. We've never sold those before. It's $8,500. I actually added an extra day for the month in sales just because of bulbs alone. That's what the new tech stack can do for us. The new marketing overlay, online stores on top of your physical store. If you can figure out how to blend those things together, wow, it's a powerhouse. And here's the interesting part. Only half the customers were from my area. The other half were from everywhere in the country. I mean, New York to Chicago to Idaho to Colorado to California, everything in between. So we had like over 50 customers from there and over 50 from here. This is a thing that's trending. And if you're not part of that, you don't have that figured out. More than gift cards. Gift cards are so 2000s. All of us have been doing that. I'm talking about how to sell your products. And I'm not talking about a warehouse you got to set up, an extra thing you got to do. You can now partner with other folks and sell their stuff. And it's not just affiliate marketing. You're actually making more than just 5% on affiliate. You're actually making 35% on bulbs. And zero throwaway, didn't have to display, touch anything. That's like magic money. That's the new where marketing's going with this. And so our sales, we have increased sales close, not quite double digits, but it's definitely noticeable. And so that's how we've done our sales increases. I'm hearing a lot of folks, the sales are going down. They're off that pandemic high, something. But if that's the case, your marketing is off, or your tech stack. You don't have the right product going out to the consumer at the right time, and they're not interacting. It's not entertaining to them. They're not interested. The other tip, and I'll leave you with this, is we're blaming the generations. Oh, the new Gen Zs, they've got an 8-second attention span. And so how can I market to someone with 8 seconds? Well, that's true. Millennials have a 9-second attention span, and boomers, you're so much better. You've got 11-second attention span. I don't call it attention. I call it filter. They got a BS meter beyond belief. So if you don't give them something right away that's instantly interactive, they're out. They just move on, especially with social media. And so really, video is the new picture. If it doesn't dance and spin around and do something, they're going to move on too quicker. So you need content that can keep up with that. So the picture of your cat and the story about it, your dog, company dog, that's so 2000s. I mean, 2010. They don't care about that anymore. Not unless it dances around, does something funny. I had one employee, he was famous on TikTok for backflips. I said, hey, do backflip right here. Boom, he had like 20,000 followers. It's got to do something special, interesting, entertaining, or it's not marketing anymore. It's boring. So you got to come up with content that could do that for your garden center and your product that you're selling. So let me just share what I've learned and how to make serious money with a garden center. And remember, I don't come from retail. I came from banking, credit reporting. Well, I guess I sold jewelry through college. That's more luxury than retail. I guess it's retail, but anyway, I didn't come in with plant experience. Have no knowledge. Don't even know what a photinia is. I mean, like, what's chrysanthemum and mum? I don't know, syringa and I have no idea. Don't speak Latin. Hardly speak botanical Latin name or botanical. It doesn't matter. I don't do plants. So we started learning the business, came in, and I'm selling plants. We've got we got trees, shrubs, perennials, annuals, herbs and veggies. We got the whole enchilada, all the soils. Hard goods are a big deal because I see that as a exclamation point on we are the experts. I'll show you how to kill that bug or that weed. We'll show you how to make that thing grow. It's yellow. We got this thing for you. Don't guess. Don't go up the wall of Depot and try to figure it out. We have it. We're your friends and neighbors. Look, this is working in our backyard. This will probably work in your backyard. That's our tone or our voice. And so we had our first Home Depot open up in about 2000. And it was terrifying. Back then, remember, I'm close to California, so they were flying in celebrities and helicopters. They'd land in the parking lot. Literally, it's a spectacle. I mean, it is a hoot. I'm excited for them. So I'm terrified too. And when I was younger then, I thought, I can beat them at their own game. So I had a test while they're doing this. I went, you know what? I'm going to bring in a lower grade, kind of landscape grade. It's just what they're selling, and I can underprice them. And I had a whole display of like a buffalo juniper or something basic. And then I had a full-on display, equal amount of pristine Monrovia buffalo, same exact model, buffalo junipers. And I started to promote those. This is the juniper you want to keep erosion control, or full sun, or javelina and rabbits are going to eat this. At the end of the weekend, I didn't have one of my Monrovia upper grade plants left. They were all gone. All the other ones were left. And this one's like $12.99. This one's $19.99. And I went, oh, note to self. Wow, that's an interesting experiment. So the next weekend, I cleaned all the other ones up. You know, they had long tendrils, cleaned them up, got all the dead stuff out, made them pretty. They weren't Monrovia grade, didn't have that fancy bucket, but it looked pretty good. Up the price to $19.99, sold every one of those. I went, oh, customers, they're not coming to us for the lowest price. They're coming for a better quality plant, better display, marketing, how to grow that thing, guaranteed success. They're coming for more than just the price of the plant. They're coming for the experience or something else. And I've done that experiment over and over. When I lose my confidence, I do it again. Just let's take a lilac. Let's just try a low grade and buy it. Let's see which one sells. Always the picture perfect cookie cutter, luxury, better quality. That's something we have. That, and when you plant it, you're going to need these three things. You need mulch, food. For us in the West, mulch is not just bark. It's actually composted material. So different terms, I know different parts of the country. So you need premium mulch. You need a fertilizer because the mountains don't have any real food in it. And then you're going to need a root and grow. It's going to stress out. We'll help you. Each one of those is private labeled. So we've got our own mulch, full line. We have our own fertilizer. We sell no national brands. And we have our own root and grow juice. It's compost tea, basically, in a can. We've got all of that and much more. So we always go, do you want these three things to make sure you do have all the things it takes to have a successful garden experience? Go, what do you mean? Well, let me tell you about the three things. They can only get them here. And here's the thing about private label. They never use it all up. And so when they get done, they're going to roll up that extra bag of fertilizer or that bag of a can of liquid root and grow. They're going to put it in the garden shed or in their garage. And it's always with the label out. It's always with your logo right there in their face. It's like cheating. It's absolute cheating. Here's another tip. We actually are marketing. We actually have, here's the top 10 roses, or we do the top 25 roses for 2026. It's whatever we have in stock. We make it up. It's just weird. It's marketing. Here's our top 25 that we have at Waters Garden Center. Oh, and you're only going to find them here. And here's how to grow them. You're going to need these three products, our special rose food, these three things. And you can only get them from here. And they'll take that article, which the paper loves. All the newspapers pick it up. We've got 3 of them here in town that pick them up every week, word for word. And they'll put the backlinks in. They'll do everything for us. And they'll take that article to their local depot or box store. They go, hey, I'm looking for these things. I need these products. The store manager goes, oh, that's Ken again. Okay, now you'll have to go over to Water. They're literally sending people to us because they don't have that. Now, I don't sell their top 10. I don't get in their way. They've got their stuff. We have our stuff, and our stuff is higher grade, has the product you need to plant it right. So it's not just a plant sale. It's actually a garden experience. And so really when it comes down to it, We're not selling plants. We're selling success. And when you have a tomato that just overflows with tomatoes, what is that? That's sunshine that you picked right off the vine. A beautiful flower that's just with butterflies on it. That's not a garden. That's not a flower. That's joy. We're selling joy at the garden center. And if you do that, people will pay you a little bit more for that. Not a lot. Can't be grotesque about it, but they'll pay you more. They'll have an extra one on the cart. Get your average, all those Gimroy metrics play out for you. So it's you get the marketing right. You can ask more margin for that, but you got to step up and you got to talk about it. You got to have it displayed well. You got to have a facility that looks good. And if you do that, you can definitely get a premium for that. And that's how you make profit. That's just money drops to the bottom line. It's pretty consistent. I mean, even when sales, a recession or something hits, we still make the same amount of profit percentage. The sales might be a little off because we're in a recession, or whatever, but we can still make it through that, and we can share that how to do that at your garden center consistently. Not 5%, not 10%, 15 or 20%. You can have more wealth. You can change your direction of your garden center by partnering with someone that's got some systems and some smarts that can help you. So financial strength, financial acumen. I think we need to be really good business people in today's fast-paced world. I mean, more than ever before. Now, I come from banking, credit. I just think in terms of systems. Big corporate America, we had balance sheets. You had to present in front of the board of directors. It was pressure packed. You had to know, and if it didn't come in, those numbers didn't come in. You sweat bullets as you present that to your next, to your commands. With small business, some of you basically set up your company. So you created a 60-hour week job. So you had something to do. That's not an enterprise. That's not a business. There's no value. If you step out, the thing fails without you. So it's worth the land property. I'm talking about you've got a business that can run itself. You've got systems in play. And so we've figured out, I brought some of those systems with me from corporate. And now, so already, we're not even to the end of the year. We know what our sales goals are each month for next year. We know what, by department, what inventory is going to be needed to meet that goal. We know what margins are going to be needed. We know all the metrics, and it's preset. So we know, okay, to do $100,000 worth of vegetable sales in May, we're going to need $25,000 worth of inventory. We're going to need to turn it this many times, and it will equate to that. So the buyers, when they come in each week, we look at this. We go, it looks like you had a good week. You sold $28,000 worth of vegetables and herbs. And it looks like you're going to need to order $7,000 worth of vegetables and herbs to replenish. We don't go so deep in the POS to go, and you need exactly these. That would be a dream. But we go, you need to order this much from the grower, have it delivered this week by this weekend. And I let them go figure out what colors, what sizes. So they can tell if we have too much weight or too many basil plants, or we need more tomatoes. But right, they know. They just don't know, did I get enough? Am I going to meet my goal? So we try to blend that analog and digital thing together. And so I think you need those, that your team needs that each week. And so we've figured out sales goals. We know how much inventory by department broken down. We know what the margins are going to be, and we have the labor budgets. We know how many people are going to be needed to do that much sales by month. And we've broken it down by week, because you need to make schedules for the week. So Mother's Day weekend, you're going to need 4 cashiers and probably a couple helpers and a department head in each department. What you're going to need, and then you come off of that. So we look at the sales going, we don't need that much in February. This season hasn't kicked off. It doesn't kick off to the middle of March. So we need to hire for maybe the 1st of March, so they have time to slowly get used to the flow. And then when the season hits, they're fully trained. At the end of the year, we know, you've got by the 2nd week in June, the season's over for us. So our peak season's Mother's Day, and it's over by June 10th. It's over. And so we need to bring that back down, or we will quickly use up all that cash we made, or we'll keep buying like crazy and we fill the place up with plants we have to take care of through the heat of summer. That's a nightmare. So we've got it all planned and budgeted. I think you need to be that. You need systems in play like that that will help you run smarter. And so the POS systems help you somewhat, but you got to use the data. And sometimes the data is too detailed. So we try to cut it back a little bit and give that human flavor to it, to the budget, so we get the right amount at the right time. If you do that, you can really drop a lot of money. Garden centers are an ATM machine. They just crank cash. The thing is, if you don't control the landing, you'll use it all up, and all you have left is inventory to take care of through winter, and that's not a good place. Customers should start asking, are you going out of business as you head into Thanksgiving, Christmas? Unless you've got a Christmas store or something else, we don't have those things. We just have plants and things that make plants grow. That's our niche. And so we focus in on those things. And I think if you're not quite sure of that, we can help you that. Garden Outfitters, we've got those budgets. They're figured out. They've been honed in for decades. Here's what you do. What do you think we should go for? And it just kind of implements that, and you run the game plan. Really helpful early spring when that last snowstorm comes and your team's freaking out going, oh no, there's no customers. There's a spring open house and there's a foot of snow. It's happened. That's okay. It's watch the game book. Focus on the game book. Just run the play, and it will all come through. And the season hits, we'll be good to go. That's how you keep a lot of money coming to the bottom line at your garden center. So Simon Sinek, this has got to be at least 10 years ago, became famous for his why TED Talk. Why do you do what you do? Why do companies do what they do? I thought I'd just take a moment, and this isn't really scripted, just kind of give you my flavor, what I've sensed the team is doing here at Garden Outfitters and why we are going here. First of all, over and over again, I see too many garden center owners just going to work and they don't take time for themselves. They've never unplugged. They're proud. I've actually heard people proud. Oh, I've worked 60 days straight in the garden center. I'm so proud. I'm looking to figure out how to take a week off in May just to see if I can do it, because that'd be fun. If I can create a system that can do that, and I'm close. I've done it every month of the year except for May. My wife has taken a month off. We had a grandkid last May, so she took an entire month off May. So we're getting close. So that's not a badge of pride. That means you're a slave to your garden center. You need to figure out systems and teams that can run this thing. When I walk into a room, the team actually stands up a little taller. Their chests are out, and they are proud of what they're doing. And when I take off, I just got back from Portugal for a few weeks. The numbers went up while I'm away. That's a team. That's a business. That's an enterprise that actually brings value. And that's the kind of garden center we want part of the garden center group. They bring value. If you step out and the sales go down, you've got something wrong something's off with that. So it's training, branding, culture, something's off. And so you need to figure that out. And if you do, your company becomes greater value. If you're in the supply chain, if you're supplying garden centers, you should be worried. You should be terrified, because there's a tidal wave coming of garden centers for sale, and I don't think they're ready. I think a lot of them are going to go for their property value and their inventory value, and that's it. There's no enterprise value, and that hurts me, because garden centers have brought value, a gathering place for gardeners in their community, and if they disappear, the community should grieve that, and I think they will. If private equity comes in and takes it and then destroys it, they don't have any value to your culture and what you brought to that. They just want the money part of it as they spin it up or roll it up, as they call it. They're going to sell it off in 5 years, and it'll be gone. Your employees will be destroyed. They'll be let go. Your community will grieve that. I think we want to save that. As Garden Outfitters, we can band together as partners, coming alongside. And if we do this thing right, not only can we get more value out of our companies but we can ensure that they stick around for the next generation to come. Even if you don't have a generation in the wings, we can train enough staff to really spin up and run this thing with a few systems and do it really profitably. I mean, really profitably. I mean, like double digits, strong double digits, like close to 20s digits profitable. You can ride that wave. The challenge we have, though, is there's this tidal wave of businesses that are going to be sold here as the boomers step out, die, or pass on, or don't have an outlet. And if they don't have a plan for it, we want to help that garden center owner have a plan to keep it going, keep the legacy going, and to keep that influence going. I think we can have a supply chain that will support that. I think we have investors in the supply chain that will support that. I'm already getting some folks going, Ken, when you're ready, let me know. That sounds like a great plan. So that's already come into play. And then as we partner together and we get these EBITDAs, we can actually have the influence we used to have back in the 90s. That was a fun time. I mean, new plant introductions, they were done through garden centers, not online or a box. We can have that again. And I think our time has come with data management, with marketing, with our influence on training with staff. This is becoming easier with online and AI overlays, with the intranet communication amongst our staff. These are all things that are powerhouses that are going to, we have the tools that the big boys have had for decades. They've just been given them to us. We just have the confidence we used to have to use them. And I think we can take back from the box stores what they've taken from us. I think we can take back some of that. And we don't need a landscaping or a growing operation to do it. I think our retail operation can do this. In fact, I think retail is the front facing. I think if you've got retail honed in, the landscape leads will come no matter what. If the retail is front facing to the consumer, we have what they want. You can fill those greenhouses up, grow them, and put them out front. It's all about the front facing. I think this is going to be the place where the community unplugs from their phone and re-socializes back to nature, each other, community. They're going to a garden center should be a gathering place. You can't do that at Home Depot. Sorry, I'm getting on my soapbox. I'm getting all worked up. I can feel my blood pressure going up. I get so excited. You can't do that with a box store, but you can with a garden center. I just had a gathering, Grapes for Good, at our garden center. We raised over $100,000 for the schools here locally. A box store is never going to do that. They're going to chuck a bike at you and then take all their money back to Arkansas and suck the money out of a garden center can keep the lifeblood of their community going. And so I get passionate about this. We can make a difference. Also, selfishly, I've got a garden center. It's third generation now. I'm second gen. My daughter's coming in third gen. I want to get out of her way so she can grow this thing. Yet I love, I live for business. I mean, I just love everything about it. I love employees. I love tax law. I love accounting. I love book POS, networks. Plants are good. They die, but they're good. I love the margins, the strategies, the spreadsheets. It's super fun. I can't just retire from that. So I need something else. So I'm going to go to Garden Outfitters, start building this platform of garden centers that come together, and then let my daughter take this. And part of her wealth will come from Garden Outfitters. As this thing becomes more valuable, her wealth goes up. All boats rise. And then as she runs the garden center, this piece, her part of that equity, she gets value from that. So it gives me something else to focus on. And if you're younger, you're not quite ready to retire, stick with it. Come into Garden Outfitters, and then we can ride this thing together for the next 5-10 years. And then we'll have our enterprise value really up there at the NASDAQ level. I think that's possible. So why spend this hour? I appreciate you all tuning in. I saw some of the names, some friends, some good operators are on this call. Appreciate that. So if you want to know more, here's where we are going. So why we're doing what we're doing. We're looking to acquire at least 2 garden centers and then compound them. Let the ownership, just long-term ownership, means we just keep that underlying IRR that for our projects and not just a one-off exit strategy. We're looking for the longer term. We want to redeploy that free cash flow, put it right back into the garden centers, right back into and building up this platform. That's our goal. So we're not just looking to pull cash out and buy a new yacht, company yacht. No, we want to keep building this thing. I think that's respect. We're looking for management and incentivizing them to really execute the plan. We can pay folks better as long as they bring more to the table, and we know how to do that. And so we're looking to build teams, build ownership, not just in Garden Outfitters, but also internally at the garden center level. We can make this thing happen and maintain a balance sheet that's just strong. And lastly, I'm a strong believer. I've got where I'm living more than just for the financial dollars and cents. I'm looking to make a difference in the long term for the next multi-generation, for eternity. So we're looking for owners that have that kind of value, teams that have those kind of more than just integrity. No, they got to have what's a meaning? Why are you going to work each day? And how are you going to make a difference in your community? We want those kind of folks. And so we're looking for investors, the supply chain side of folks. And I know several of you reached out going, hey, Ken, when you're ready, let's go. I'll be one of the first ones in. No, I'm the first one in. And I am looking for partners to help with that. And so it could be a garden center owner, could be a supplier in the industry. I'm not looking for just private equity folks. I'm looking for folks that believe in the green industry and the value that we bring to our communities, where we want to keep this thing for the long term that makes a difference. I think I need some investment dollars going into this, more than just my few million I'm putting in or my garden center. I'm looking for others that can help me build this thing up and make a difference in our industry, not just for today, but for the next generation and the generations thereafter. That's where we're after. That's the bottom line. So I don't know if I could be that direct. If that's of interest, you want to build something bigger than just your garden center, or you need an exit out in 5-10 years, you want to stay with this and maybe sell a piece of your equity into this and then grow the rest of it up through the Garden Outfitters, I think it could be transformational wealth if we do this thing right for you, your family, and the entire Garden Outfitters team. For your management team, can make a real difference. So that's a direction. That's the word is getting out. You're kind of the first to know. Before that, it was a whisper. We hear something's going on over there. Ken's got something going. Sid and Ken Klopp. We just call him Klopp. There's too many Kens. Klopp's got something going on. That's what's going on, and that's the direction that we're heading. And so my plan is to keep you posted, create once a month great business garden content. I mean, not garden center, business that makes a difference. And then we might even have a conference or two. I don't know. We might come out and visit. If you're out in Arizona, please call me. I'll take you to places very few people get to see because I know we're there. This is my town. I love showing it off. So anyway, I appreciate you all coming through. A big thanks to Sid Reich. He is our sage. He's the guy that keeps it going, keeps us going. To Alex Hayes and Don't Die With Your Business. I got the idea from him. He's a garden coach. No, he's a business coach that helps you exit well. He's a great guy. He's a good go-to guy. To Gary Crum, he's the actual M&A. Here's nitty gritty. This is how you do it. Here's what you think it's worth. Boom. Thank you, Gary, for that. And Ken Klopp, our business development guy. Couldn't do it without him. All the editing, contacts, email follow-ups. He's the front facing of Garden Outfitters. And thanks to all of you. Have a merriest of Christmas and just enjoy the holidays. We'll go to Q&A now.
Awesome. I just love Ken's enthusiasm. It's a little infectious. So just as a reminder, we did have some questions that came in during the presentation. So again, that button at the bottom, we're going to spend, we have a couple minutes left. You can hit the Q&A button, and then if you want to submit it as anonymous, just to keep your name out of it, you can click that button before you hit submit, and we'll be good to go. So, a couple questions for our panel. Um, let's see, which one should I start with? So, Ken, you mentioned in the presentation that uh, an average garden center, I can't remember if it was you or Gary, was talking about a 3 or 4 or 5x multiple on the EBITDA. But then you were talking about having a larger multiple as you grow that. Maybe explain that a little bit further as far as how that looks, what that even means.
Yeah, sure. That's this is where big business lives. And so quite frankly, most garden centers, like I just lost my last competitor in town. It's kind of sad. He sold for his inventory value. He kind of flooded the market at the end of the season. It's been kind of a challenge. We still got the increase in sales, but man, he's flooding the market with discount, free 50%, going out of business sale. That's how you're seeing a lot of garden centers go out that way. And that's sad. So the industry right now, when we look at it, is anywhere from 3 to 5 time multiple. Take your net cash or your EBITDA and just multiply it by 3 to 5. And it's depending on how shiny and good your systems are, how strong your teams are, how big you are. If you're a real small player, probably there's not. Maybe you can get a real small industry, not even industry, someone that's been in insurance and wants to buy a garden center. They might buy it, but they aren't big enough to actually put, they don't, their teams aren't big enough. What happens is if you get your EBITDA, the revenues with the profit up to a certain level, there are no big deals out there. And the folks with a lot of money, they're looking for bigger deals. They don't want little tiny crumbs. They want a big one. And so at about 10 to 15 million dollars, that value of those corporate businesses, if you put 3 or 4 garden centers together, you could probably get to $10 million of revenue and probably 1.5 to 10 $22 million worth of EBITDA. Well, all of a sudden that value doubles. If you do that again, where the real bankers live is in that 20 or more revenue, 20 million or more, and 10 to 15 million dollars worth of, they want to see big paydays, spin off of cash. It's all about the cash spin off. If you can get that over $10 million of, all of a sudden bankers will pay you a lot more. We're talking 10 to 13 times that value. That's where the value really, so if you're, let's say you take a piece of your garden center, let's say I want to I want to diversify 30% off and keep the rest of it in this Garden Outfitters. You can actually, if we partner together and get that EBITDA up, the cash flow up high enough, we all make double. We all make triple or quadruple. So the more we can partner together and get that EBITDA up bigger, the big money starts to really take notice at us. By yourself, you just don't have that much value. You're not big enough. You're just a crumb. And so that's where I don't want to be a crumb. I want to make a difference, and I think we can do this together. I think we make more together. Anyway, that I don't know if I explained that well enough. It's difficult. That's a sidebar at the next conference. We see each other and we'll share a beer and catch up on that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thanks for that, Ken. Had another question that kind of ties into this is are you looking to buy the whole business, buy the real estate with the business, buy a portion of like how does actually that's probably two different questions. Let's break it up. Are you looking to buy the real estate with the business?
No, so that's one thing Gary can really help with. So the first thing you do, so I don't hold my real estate with my company. There's separate companies that own each. And your company should be the same way. It reduces liability. There's a whole lot of reasons, tax benefits. So you want to separate that thing out. I would rather the garden center owner keep the property and I just pay them a really good lease because properties eat up cash. I own a lot of real estate, and real estate's just a big headache all the time. I'm trying to diversify some of that and put it into Garden Outfitters right now because I like garden centers and it's way easier than owning properties. I've got commercial, I've got rentals, I got apartment buildings. Oh my gosh, sucks up half my time. I'm trying to liquidate some of that. I don't want more. I'm looking for the garden center business. And I do think that a lot of owners have all their wealth tied up in their business and their land. You need to divest some of that. So I every year I buy a piece of real estate, or I diversify into something else. And so right now, Garden Outfitters is my alternative money. So it's stocks, bonds, alternatives. I've got a lot of money in all three. I'm taking all my all kind of my extra fund money to diversify. I'm going to put it into Garden Outfitters because I think I have more control. I've I can't control the markets. It's crazy. We've made 16% this year. It's been a really good year in the stock market. It has been good. That's rare though. I can do that every year with a garden center piece. So that's kind of the difference. And hopefully I answered that. Let me know if I didn't.
Yeah, no, I'll go ahead, Sid, if you want to unmute yourself first.
Right.
I just want to add to that. If somebody's thinking, I do want to sell my real estate and the business, I want it to go together, that's certainly a conversation that could be had. But
Yeah.
Ken doesn't like real estate, he's learned. But obviously, there are other people who do.
Yeah.
And they would really like to have a favorable lease with a long-term tenant. And they want to do that because they want income from that. And they also want to wait on the appreciation of the land until a later day. And it's part of what they do. It's who they are. It's what they love to do. Just like Ken loves to do the garden center business, but not the real estate business. So in that kind of situation, we could talk about getting some help with finding a real estate investor who would want to hold the real estate, or even the benefits of holding it, of the seller holding it themselves for longer, even though they think they don't want to. Maybe there's some things that they haven't thought about that might help them want to. So it's nice, for example, to have ongoing, regular, steady income that's not connected to the business itself, and have income from continuing to operate the business, but getting paid based on the profitability of it, and not just have to carry all the headaches and all the responsibilities without support. So it's a way to be in business, but not be alone in business.
Yeah.
Sid, I appreciate that. This is where the Garden Outfitters things comes together. I live with passion and I just go forward, and life is joyous and fun. And we should have a bar. We should have a party. That's how I live life. Sid's going, now, wait a minute. You should probably step back and take a look at this. He's our executive coach. It's make sure we see all the angles. Appreciate that. So, yes, every deal is separate, different, unique, and it depends on, and there's every garden center is unique. You have to look at each one separately. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I think I would just add to that it's not all about just garden outfitters. One thing I appreciate about the team that we have um, is that it's also looking out for the best interest of our partners as well. So thank you for that question. Going along with that line, since I broke it up into two, the question is, are you wanting to buy the entire business, a portion of the business, or leave the real estate separate? But let's just talk about, the business itself, Ken. How do you see that?
So wrap it for me one more time. So I was reading Dennis's, I don't know if Dennis's comment going, thank you, Dennis. I appreciate that. That's awesome. So good friend up in Idaho. One more time, Ken.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, no worries. Yeah, I saw that in there as well, and appreciate that comment. Um, I'll share it with everybody else here if they can't see that. I'll share that in a bit. So the question is, in regards to investing in a business, are you looking to buy the whole thing, be a 50-50, a minority? Like
Gotcha.
where,
Yeah.
like what's where you at?
Yeah. So here's what I'm doing myself. Half of my garden center is going into Garden Outfitters. The other half is going to stay out, or actually, it's all going to go in, but 50% of the equity. I'm trying to diversify 50% of the equity out, take some cash out. and then put 50% into Garden Outfitters and keep it running. So as it builds in value, and I think there's going to be tremendous value in Garden Outfitters, not just a profit. We're talking profit plus. The generation of wealth is going to be made in that enterprise at large business scale. That's what we're after. Much more than a small business can do by themselves. And so we can buy the whole business as long as the team is strong enough. If the business is you, it's just not, the value isn't there. And so I don't want to come in and rebuild from scratch and hire. It takes 24 months to really build teams up. So I'd rather take a strong team and give them some great systems and some training. We've got some great ideas with that. Some systems already in play that can scale them. I would love to pay your teams more. I think the industry doesn't pay well enough. I think we can pay them more. I think we can incentivize the teams with some profit shares kind of stuff to put some carrots in front of them so they want to do more. So I think there's opportunities if we have several companies, we now have tracks where people can move up, whereas in your own company, they're stuck. We can actually help them to cross-train. There's a lot of opportunities with this at the big business level. And so it depends on, my ideal person would be someone just like myself, which would be younger, but matured. They've got a strong business that makes cash. They're looking to take a piece of the equity, take some cash, maybe buy a yacht, I don't know about a private island. You're running a small company, but you can definitely buy a new truck or a new RV or a toy, a cabin, and then keep running it and help us grow your business. I don't think garden centers have enough market share. I think you can get more. I don't know that they get enough margin. I don't think they value themselves enough. We can help you value each individual product. Some more things drop to the bottom line. We can make you more profitable, but for sure. That's kind of my dream. So Sid, you got anything to add with that?
One thing that came to mind, Ken, is just kind of playing off of what you said that could be a benefit to somebody. If someone's burdened with debt and they're concerned about that, there could be an opportunity to get the debt off your shoulders because it doesn't have to stay there. It could move to another location. In other words, to Garden Outfitters or to a third party. So that's something that we could take a look at that could help make life better for someone. Take that weight off your shoulders. This really is about one of the favorite things I hear from clients is Sid changed my life. We want to hear Garden Outfitters changed my life for the better, of course. And overcoming those concerns that we're weighted down with is one of the ways of changing life. Another is putting some cash in the bank so there's a cushion. Another is putting some in life insurance or wherever it may be that you want. Ken mentioned some really good options, some for yourself. What's the toy that you get that you haven't been able to or didn't want to splurge on? So there are a lot of options with where that might go. And as Ken also mentioned, can be individualized and customized based on each person's situation. There's some consistencies that have to take place just because that's how business works for it to work well. And one other thing I wanted to mention that also playing off of what Ken said is one of the most important things that employees want is they want to know, where do I go? Where do I grow? How do I fit in? And that doesn't exist in many garden centers. It doesn't. It's not known. It's a gray area. It's like, who am I and why am I here other than to collect a paycheck? And if it's not clear, then you get people that are just collecting the paycheck. And what we specialize in is getting that kind of scenario unstuck so they start to see hope and possibility and a reason to not just stay around, but a reason to actually learn and work and become self-developing while they're being developed so that the business can grow. You know, big companies don't grow because people like, hate to mention names, but Bill Gates, Elon Musk, you can go down through the whole list, do everything. You know, none of those people are saying, I got to do it all myself. But in small businesses, that's pretty much the norm. and it doesn't have to be that way.
Can
Transformation.
I add to that, Sid?
Yeah, sure.
So I think we can take the marketing off your shoulders.
Mhm.
We've got teams already. I got a huge VA team that just does this for me. So I don't do it. I come up with the ideas and they actually execute. They're unbelievable talent at all levels, and they can do that across platform, across companies. It's super easy. Financials. I mean, that's a CFO or numbers wise, set it up ahead of time so you know what you're going to make at the end of it. We can set that up. We can take that burden off. A tax season. We're into tax season. We can take some of that burden off. The POS. That's a nightmare. I mean, how do you do your accounting? How do you do? We've got that figured out. So we can just. I mean, I don't see 8 POS systems. I see a Shopify system on all of them, and we've got the expertise on staff. I have a Shopify engineer that works for me right here. I mean, he can make the thing dance and sing, and he can do that for you. And it's a pretty easy, the migration is difficult, but if you've done it before, you've already done it, it's pretty easy. So we can help take all that burden off so you can do the fun part of running the garden center, talking to customers and making a difference, making your community more beautiful through plants and all take some of the burden off. You still got to meet the budgets and the goals aren't they got to go for the goals. And we'll probably have weekly calls with coaches and make sure we're on tap. How are we doing? That kind of stuff. But I would love to have that more executive help.
Yeah. Yeah, I think consolidating some of the back end burden overhead is
Yeah.
is one of the values that comes from garden outfitters. You kind of touched on this a little bit, but the next question that came in, is talking about was asking, "Hey, I already have a POS. I already have some systems that work. Do I have to replace my systems with yours?" Or I have some comments, but I'll interested to hear what you guys have to say about that before I chime in.
And I'll let you go first. What do you think?
Yeah, well, that's fine. So yeah, so Ken has said, yes, we have, our systems. But this isn't about us necessarily. It's about a team. And
Right.
so, the beautiful thing about this team is that we can learn from each other. So if, what are the systems that you're utilizing? What's the marketing? What are the campaigns that you're doing? Where can you lift up the rest of Garden Outfitters, or where can Garden Outfitters lift up you? So it goes hand in hand.
You've got a better system. Let's use that.
Yeah.
That's where I think Armstrong retailers, they got the grower piece, they get the retailer piece. They get together once a year, all their managers, not the whole store, just the key players, and they negotiate with each other. What should we feature for Mother's Day? How should we? And they come up with the game plan together. I mean, that's what we're going to do here. If you're part of the Garden Outfitters, you got a seat at the table. You probably got a board of directors levels kind of stuff. You got direct input. But I don't think we should have multiple systems. We should pick one together, pick the best one, and execute that across platform so that life is easier and we can all talk the same communication, the same language while we're talking to different managers. What a benefit to have 3 or 4 stores together and the managers have a weekly meeting and they can share with each other. Here's what we saw. Here's where we're going. That would be powerful. You're not lonely anymore. You can actually do this together. That would be great.
Yeah. I do have some other questions here, but I also want to be cognizant of our time. So we will review these questions as a group. If anybody else wants to ask a question that we can answer later on, please go ahead and just put that in the Q&A. Send us an email, any one of us. A text is fine as well. Um, just 2 notes here. One, there was one that just said, thank you so much. Um, I'll just read this to everybody. This came in. This experience and success you have accomplished in our industry is impressive. Anyone out there that wants to or needs to grow systems, gain knowledge, and grow profits significantly should contact us. Thank you so much for that.
Wow.
And then last but not least, our friends, Gary Crum and his team, Jess and Aaron and Wally, are more than happy to have a conversation with you. Should you want to reach out to them in regards to M&A. So any last words, Ken or Sid, before we pull the plug?
I would say we'll have a resource out to you. I don't know about next week. It's Christmas. Well, probably the first week in January. How about if we just agree amongst ourselves, get something to all the registered folks, and that'll be direct links to Gary at Agora and his team, to Alex Hayes, don'tdiewithyourbusiness.com. Great resource, especially the way I see those two. Alex Hayes is good for, I'm not sure if I'm ready to retire or how or what that system looks like. And only 18% of businesses that sell, the owners, only 18% are actually happy they sold. Alex makes sure you're happy when you sell. He's that guy. Gary and his team are the M&A. How do I position so I get the best value and I get noticed? So I'm the 1 in 8 or 9, he said, that actually sells instead of the, like my competitor, just liquidated. And now his property is actually up for lease if you need something. Anyway, don't want to be that person. So he helps with that. So we'll have all those resources to them and more. The private equity playbook. If you want some holiday reading, that's a great book. Simplifies what we've been talking about, and it just one book that's in layman's terms. We'll get that resource for you too. But the private equity playbook is a great one for you guys. But until then, Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday to my, I guess my Christian friends, Merry Christmas. To my Jewish friends, Blessed Hanukkah, and to everyone else, the happiest of holidays. We wish you and your family just cherished moments with through the next few days. Thanks, everyone.
Sid, any comments?
Thanks. I'll just make one closing. I met Ken about 25 years ago when he was involved in the Garden Center group in the beginning. He still is. And over all these years, I just want to add something that he probably wouldn't say about himself, but consistently the most profitable garden center in the Garden Center Group P&L study every year. And there are reasons for that. And it's not just systems and desire and financial drive at all. He is the real deal. I always, when I find somebody that's a lightning rod or a tall cornstalk, sometimes I call him, I go see him and vet it out and make sure. So that's what I did. And I found the real deal there. So not only does he have the financial astuteness, but he also has the drive and character behind that. So that's just something to consider. And even now, this last year, Ken changed POS systems in his company. And it was a result of some work that we were doing. And it became evident that it was time to do that. And he had been committed to one for a long time. But just as he says, if there's a better way, he wants to know about it. And he listens and looks for opportunities to improve. And his company is always improving, as any other one can and should be. So that's what we're really all about, is finding the better way forward, but treating ourselves well along the way. The oath of poverty in horticulture has really caused people to not expect much compared to what could be reasonably be expected. Profit is not a dirty word. It can happen. You can have a better life. You can have a better life and not give up the things that matter the most to you. Thank you and have a Merry Christmas.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. For those of you that have put some additional comments in the web chat, thank you so much for those. It means a lot. It really does to all of us. So Merry Christmas. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and we'll see y'all next time.